Hello everyone, it's Mark. Um, I want to show everybody the trick that helped me go from a okay trader to a much better trader by overlaying, call it a profile, call it a TPO, whatever you want to, and pivots together. Um, so what I want to show you right now is this is an ES TPO chart. All of my notes are going to be in yellow. The other things that are important in here is every day we have market hours, this line to that line. Then we have market closing. There's a different word for it. Anyway. Then we have the Asian markets, then EMEA, and then we go back into the USA market again. This is the low and the high. Trading volume, you can see what it was on any given day. And you can see that US volume on 22 was very light, and I'm wondering, that's the end of the day. This is the full day. 850,000, and then we just have Asia's 48, EMEA's 41. It's just we're staggeringly a lot more volume during New York RTH hours. But this TPO broken into the market segments allows me to get a really good idea of what is the market saying, where are we going, what are we accepting, what are we not. So what you're going to see is I'm going to show you where I think value ended in the day. So my notes and these boxes show where value kind of was for the day, where we ended up, where we were, and we rejected it. So the purple profiles, these are the TPOs, market trading. This is where value is. We do have some early trading in here, but that was not considered in value. And value is 70% of the trades within the day, around the well, in TPO, it's about time. Where we traded, of course, time. If it's a true profile, then you have to add volume into that. I've done a couple other videos talking about how the market is not unlike real estate, and that on any given day you don't know if it's value or not. You have to wait for what happens the next day and see where the buyers and the sellers are and see if they agree whether the market is too high or too low. So I'm going to go back a couple days, and we can see that we had value moving up quickly. When we retested to the top of that prior value. That was the one wick, came immediately backed up, went all the way through those 2 days of value on that fallout and retest, and then we held and we start pushing again. It's just a really easy way to come back and see when we drop and buy right back up to value here, that it's just going and getting supply. It's shakeout candle. So I started painting in with these yellow rectangles where value was for the day. So you see value moved up, went sideways, got a little high, a little fast, came back, validated that we shouldn't be lower, came back and held. So the next day is a move up and retest back into this value level on the opening of the 18th. So what it allows you to do is to simply come into a day and say, okay, the last couple of days proved what? Well, I have a red rectangle in here for a reason, and that's that there's a gap. We had value here, we moved up quickly, set value here. We did test value back, but we never really traded in here, okay? So there's not a lot of support in this area. This was the last little touch lows when we said if we're coming back. So we need to pay attention in here. For those of you who don't know what a TPO is, it's a 30-minute time frame for each. So we start off with A. So the ending color, so A opened up here, we went up, we went all the way down, we came back, A transferred over, we did B, B transferred over C, C to D, back to E. Now, when you see this check back and then we break that 30-minute, we have lost continuation. And this is a good run for everybody coming back up. This is a oh shit moment for those people. So this is a 30-minute segment, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, A through M, okay? What is interesting and what you're doing is you're using your knowledge of what happened the prior day. You can see that the M period was completely above where value agreed it should be, tested back to prior value lower here. And if you look back, that's where value was, right? We checked back and said, nope, come right back in, buy right back up. So we early in the day said value was here, checked lower, said no, value's in here, and at the end of the day we pushed out of value. So we might be looking for a retest of this value area high. All we know is that's strength, right? Said no lower, pushed back in, and bought back up. By the way, these blue lines right now is where value, well, the bid ask is right now. Okay? So we have the settlement, that's what it's called, USA 2 settlement. We went up, we ran into settlement. I need to show you something on the value chart in a minute, something that's very interesting up here. Maybe I should just go find that right now. Here it is. So this is a different representation of value-based trading. The yellow lines each day show value high and value low. And here's POC, right? So we had other trading down below, but it really didn't count in the day. Everything was stacked up high. I'm always paying attention to where is POC. And when I start seeing POC at the tops, I'm starting to think we've got distribution. They know what we don't know. You can see value is all the way at the top here. All the volume was put in right up here on the top on the 22nd. You've got to be paying attention. That should be giving you the heebie-jeebies. This one and this one. I much like it when it's down here and it says we come back and we test the POC and we can push higher. When we run into these signals up at the top, I start getting nervous that we are getting close to the top. I have value split into RTH and ETH. So prior, post and pre, then RTH, post, then pre, and then RTH. Anyway, so what I'm using on the TPO, again, this is real-time trading hours. we push up. The next day we have settlement. The thought is this is strength, right? This is strength, everybody. Even though we are still selling up here on Friday, we set value and we pushed out of it at the end of the day. That's still strong to the close of the day. We come back in, we open up. Where do we open up on the 22nd? We open right there, okay? And that's middle of value here. So we're saying, okay, are we going to go test value high, or are we going to test value low of this prior day, right? And I have the box inside of it because, I mean, around my opening, I want to see if the market thinks value from prior day, are we accepting or rejecting this? We open and all we do is start buying. We did a little back test to the top of value right here. That would have been the entry if you can't get back into value, and we're just going to get the continuation like that guy, okay? And off we go. So value higher, and then almost all the value came in. You can see it up here, up at the tippy top. When we came up, I want you to notice that where we had yesterday's stop, everybody saw that volume going off here. You can see where we did have some people taking profit, and we do see a little selling happening right here. That's to be expected, and you kind of know where those are going to happen. It's like we were at the top here, we came back, we had a little fight here, we broke through it. Come back, push back through, have a little fight right at the top. And this messes with people. You have a new low, a new 30-minute low, and yet we broke it and went back up. So do be careful. You can get whiffed there. Pivots will help you look at it. We'll turn those on in a minute. Yesterday, so Monday we pushed up higher. Tuesday we completely said no, and I think we had some Powell news Tuesday at about this time frame. So we ended with value high. We struggled with it for a while. We bled out. We retested, tried to get back in, can't get back into value. Look at the fight once again, here and here. It's not sure if we should be going up or going down. And the bears win. And where do we go? We basically go back to where value was before. It staggered up a hair. And you need to think it's there to there, right? We're just up a little bit. But that something said something very interesting. So we found value here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 periods. That's 2.5 hours of it after we have the move back down, and we have acceptance of value from 18 down to 02. We have our settlement, we have our aftermarket, Asia and EMEA hours. I've marked in, I have my value high, my value low from yesterday, and today was fascinating. First thing we did is we sold off. There was an attempt to hold at yesterday's value low, and we lost it. So, question for you would be, where do you think I took the trade today? It's not marked on this chart. I took it right there. So we sold off all the way down. I'm inside value. One of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to hold on value, check value low, and push all the way back up through value and go. We didn't quite get there. Then we kind of found, staying lower. My bet was we couldn't get back above value high ending prior day. That was a reasonable bet. I made an entry at 67.17 with a stop at 67.22. No, it was 18 and 22. It was a $4 entry. Not too bad, not too shabby. That was the entry there. So the stop was, entry was at 18. Stop up there at 22. So basically, I'm looking at a retest to see if we go outside of accepted value yesterday. We said no, we transitioned all the way through, because if we tried to hold value low, once we lose it, we're going to descend, and now we've set value even lower. I'll tell you why I took a target out today, and that was 66.85. It was right there, because that was around R4. So an R3 to R4 trade. And you can see the multiples there. That's my R trade. So between 8 and 9 R. That was kind of a close stop, but that was a fairly decent risk reward that we weren't going to get it back above value, prior day value. I mean, we tried, sold right into it. There's the line. I know we're going. So this thing is always up. Now you can see we basically stuck my last trading period. The M period is sitting dead in the middle. So now let's look how we overlay pivots and play pivot theory on trades on bigger time frame. So let's turn those on. Now these pivots are not going to be exactly where trading or see, this is Sierra chart. Its pivot calculations are just a little bit different. Anyway, so we know we had this green line right here is S3. So we're looking for an S3. So this was a R4 to S3 play. It was just too high too soon. We knew we should have played from S3 to R4. If I need to draw the rectangles, that should be where we were going to trade today. Okay. On that day. Then we open up this day, we should be S3 to R4, and it should have been there. We never really got an S3 hold. We were basically at the CP, never got low enough. I do kind of play with CP thoughts coming back and trying to hold, because that's where value ended that day. You can see it right on that line. We came back and tested it early. I will make a play on that one. That's not a true pivot play. That's a value play based on prior day value. And we keep pushing up. Now, this should be S3. That's SR3. That is a very tight value trade up here. And that's on the 12th. Okay? So we ended up here. We stayed there very, very, very tight. And that was Friday. Okay? So then we go into the weekend. Now we do on above. We're basically opening at or above R4 for the day for an R6. R6, R4, R6, R4. Bidirectional. You could have played it across the two. But we are trading higher than prior day value on the chart. Now this is we should have had an S3 hold and up to at least R3, R4. We traded in that area based on the fact that we did have elevated value. We traded a little bit lower. This little red dot is where we closed the day. I want you to be aware that on a day that it closes low, it's not as strong as a day that it closes high. Now we close low again, okay? So we traded up and back down, and now we're waiting to see what happens the next day. Here's the 16th. We got news. We're all waiting for news. So we tested, we come back, we did that waggle, bought right back up, high volume, straight back up, and end the day up top. That's where we end our day. And the aftermarket takes it all the way up to the top on the 18th. Now we're opening up out. We did have one back test, early A period. I want you to see if you can see it. So that's the top of value right there from prior day. Okay, value high. We open up above, we come back, we hold, we reject it. We're looking for a new 5-minute high, transitioning back up to R4. This is not an R3 hold, an S3 hold. This is basically the CP, maybe a little above it. This is a value play, not pure pivot. I'm going to erase that area. Now we're holding, trading higher. Value ended up. We tried, we held. So this is accepted value. The next day we have slightly elevation. We traded through it and we pushed higher. Still strength. Okay, couple days, strong trade. That was Friday. That was the 19th. So 22 is we're going to start up the next sequence. This is the trading period. Look where we are. All night long as we come back, we open inside value, trade here, then we get an open, and we start trading outside of prior value back up to the top. So strong move here, early agreement, we're in value, and then we start trading higher. So we start trading, if you're trading inside of here, when it's down at the bottom, what you could do is you could just say, hey, when it comes down to there, I'm going to put my stop below value prior day because I know I'm wrong there. That's that rectangle right there. That was value high, that was value low. We know we said no here. We traded back through and all the way out the top. We should be looking for strength. We got it. And what do? We traded all the way through. We had a little argument of whether prior daily high was going to be fought against. We still pushed through it. Then we run into the 23rd, so Tuesday. What happens on Tuesday? We rejected where we were, value trading high. I think that's where Powell started talking, and everybody was a little nervous about it. Pretty sure that's where Powell started talking. But what we're looking at is, this is where we accepted. We fell through it. Do we come back and test? Do we belong back up in there? So here is the argument from before, right in here at this level. I want everybody to look at it. So that was high of day 2 days prior. We sold down to it. Now we have a decision. Are we going to hold high of day, which was an attempt, or do we reject value higher? We haven't had confirmation more than one push up that there's value up here in this area. Normally you'd get value, 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 value moving up. I don't know what this was, but it gives me heebie-jeebies when we had value here and we start early and we trade completely out of it. Where is the value? Is it here? Is it there? With M period and everything else hitting high, that says strength, and yet what happens? Okay, so on, that's the weekend, isn't it? Yes. No, this is Tuesday, right? This is Monday. That's Tuesday. So Tuesday pivots were opening under R3. So these are pretty wide pivots. We're basically opening a little above the CP, because there's R3, there's S3 at the CP, and we're trading down. You know, everybody's saying we can't do anything until S4, and we ended up going out S4. S6 is down here, so it's quite a ways away. Didn't get there. But this was a nice signal, like, okay, what are we going to accept today? So we open up. Here's that same one. I'm just going to keep carrying it forward. Right? Do we belong above that line or below that line? We open. If I'm going to make a trade, I know I'm wrong if we get back above there. So we open up here and immediately sell down. I'm paying attention to where value was the day before. It's rejected prior day value, and we had traded all the way through it the day before, right? That was that. So, didn't have time for an entry here. I did have a time for an entry back there. But today's entry was, show you, right there at 18. And you say, why? Well, that's value high of the prior day. We sold back in, went to the bottom, came up. I was watching behavior. I was watching L2. I'm wrong if we get back and accept value high. So it was worth to see if I'm right or wrong. I know if I'm right and if I'm wrong. When I know that, I can make a stand. You can prove me wrong. Okay, it's cool. Take the swing at it. And S4, see where S4 is? 86. I put a target at 85 just past S4. That would be a downhill trade for this day. Right there. Now we have the pivots for the next day are already being laid out. We know where they are. It's kind of cool. So what would we expect tomorrow, which is going to be Thursday? Here's the pivots. Here's what we've said. We know we've been said no to here, right? That's an okay. We're kind of high between R3 and S3. We showed that the market agreed value is here. ETH, we're trading a little higher. We'll see where we open. Are we going to accept Wednesday's value or Tuesday's value? Do we test back up here? If we do, where could we go, right? Lots of times we'll come back up here to an R3. They'll test and see if you can come back. That was a good decision point, because if you look at real value, it's kind of back in here. This is ending value, but value for the day goes all the way back up here, which is up about R3. So now they're pretty wide. So what are we thinking? We don't think we're getting beyond S4, but we're probably going to be playing somewhere in that area. Now, where is it? If we get above here, we're caught, because we know we're wrong there. If they get above there, then they've completely said no to prior lower value, and we'll get back up above value from 2 days ago. And you kind of go, well, crapola. Now what? So now we're watching. We're kind of above R3, below R4, but at the value high. I might make an entry there again. I'd have to see what the market's saying and what VPA is saying. But that's how I would be approaching tomorrow, Thursday's market value. And then watching, are we accepting yesterday's value or the value from 2 days ago? Or from 3 days ago? Where do we go? Who's manipulating what? So that's my pitch for the night. That's how I'm looking at it on TPO. It doesn't mean that I don't have these guys up all the time. Everybody should recognize the pivots from Thor's toss. They're great, right? The last few days we have not really been going outside of prior day range or ETH range. I mean, you had a little bit right here prior to going. I mean, you could have played with on that day, on this trading day. I'd like to see what the pivots are on the calculating with, but we had a nice without S3 hold. Another S3 hold to R4. We should have held S3. We didn't. We fell through. Why? Because, and you have that, then you're looking at the R3 to S4. It's the same stuff. You know, you'll hear Thor and I go, you keep asking the questions, what's it doing? It's hard. At some point, you just got to go for it. Made me think of, I went to the Mariner game last night, and I don't know if anybody's following baseball, but Cal Raleigh is a catcher for Seattle, and he's a switch hitter and a catcher. This season, he has hit more home runs than any prior catcher in the history of baseball, and he's hit more home runs than any switch hitter in the history of baseball. His batting average of getting on base by hitting the ball is 230 something, which is less than 250, which is 1/4 a percentage of hit. That means 75% of the time he doesn't hit the ball. I mean, my God, these guys are professionals, and they only get to hit the ball 23% of the time they actually connect and get on base. Unreal. It's that's the kind of odds we're facing when you're right and you know it, and you make, like I showed you, I know where I'm wrong. You can make that entry and go, okay, you can prove me wrong. Great, you want to go back there. I don't know what it's going to do. I just know, I know where I'm wrong. It's been saying it's going in a specific direction. If it is, here's where I'm wrong. That's all. And you can hear Thor talk about the fact that he can take a swing at certain setups because it matches everything that he's thinking about. By the way, on this setup, I do have value. It's the blue lines here, and this little jiggity right there is POC. And you'll notice that POC was at the opening and then at the middle of the day, and then we pushed out, right? So that POC doesn't mean a lot to me, but when we spend most of our day here and go up, and the POC is right there at the end, I think I told you before, and then on Tuesday, we start off, and if you look at where POC was, it was also right there, which means a bunch of people dumped their shares right there. You look at those two, and then you think, what is going to happen today? Well, looks like people got out up there, which means I'm looking for a short. I'm going to take every clue I can from the tools I have at my disposal. I am going to go and watch the Mariners play a little bit more. I wish everybody the best of luck tomorrow and the next day. I am going to be gone starting Saturday for 5 days on a work trip to Toronto. Going to go and see some trading buddies up there and do some work at the same time. Everybody be well and try to make it great.